Okay. Don't pay coaches. Don't buy courses. The information is free anyways. Don't get sucked into the scams. Save your money. If you pay someone to teach you something, you're a fool. The information is free anyways. There's so much content on YouTube. Just do the research, do the work, and you'll be alright. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with it because it's not black and white that way. For everything that is easy to do, there is always someone who does not find it easy. And it doesn't have to be because of a disability. It doesn't have to be because of unfortunate circumstances or lack of resource. It could simply be because they find it hard. Some people just find things hard. The simplest of things hard. Whenever you make a statement so black and white that the information is free, do your own research, don't be a fool by giving your money to other people. It's a scam. They're out to get you. They're only looking after themselves. It sets up somebody who finds something hard to feel like they should find it easy. And for that person, suddenly they become disoriented because they feel like they shouldn't be finding it this hard. And that upsets me. When we learn anything through the schooling system, university, any skill for that matter that you pick up, there's a start and a finish. Simply Googling information, YouTubing information doesn't ensure that start and finish. You may end up with broken pieces of information that your imagination fleshes out the rest, and you carry that complete knowledge with you until you meet somebody who contradicts with you. And then you have to resolve it and resolve it and resolve it. And over time, you may resolve correctly or you may resolve completely wrongly, depending on who comes across your path. That's a chance I am not willing to take when it's learning about how to run a business and my future depends on it, my family depends on it. Paying someone or seeking information that is compiled to completion ensures that if we're going to criticize information, we criticize its totality. We don't criticize a single aspect of it. So that's the first thing. It's when I think about why we should pay for information, it comes down to the completeness of what is being delivered. Like your starter pack, if you will. I think about the resellers I've met since starting this community who don't feel confident sharing with others that they've paid for courses to learn reselling, because it makes them feel like a bit of a dumbass in the eyes of the community for doing so. I don't like that happens. So I'm going to share with you a story of mine. I've paid coaches twice. To date, twice. I've spent a total of $20,000, and I do not feel like a sucker for doing so. The first time I paid a coach, I spent the whole year with him because I had just started as a finance broker and I knew finance and property and money, but I didn't know how to set up a business, build a business, and more importantly, how to utilize the components of a business in such a way that it served me rather than I served it. I had just left a job where I was bullied by a manager who micromanaged me and crushed a lot of my ideas. They were not bad ideas. They were just, we don't do things that way around here ideas. And it got to a point where she felt inadequate, I suppose, insecure, the fact that I'm there, but she wouldn't let me leave either. And it got to a point where when I spoke to lawyers would say, you have to report this manager. But they also said, if you report this manager and she gets a slap on the wrist and she remains, she'll find something else. At least this instance you can leave and be instantly, allowed to walk out and you'll be paid out your 4 weeks and all that kind of stuff. This is probably the best thing you can do, so just hang in there. It was that kind of a situation. So you can imagine, I'm now my own boss. I no longer want to submit to another captain. I want to be the captain of my own ship, regardless of how big or small that ship is. And so I wanted to also learn how to run that ship, build that ship, maintain that ship, grow that ship and crew from somebody who has done it. And I wanted it to be somebody who wasn't in my industry, so that I was free of all the biases that that come with being in an industry. All the shortcuts, all the you'll be alright, yeah, if you do this, no, you will not get caught if you do this, all the hacks and tips. I didn't want the hacks and tips. I wanted the tried and true principles that allow me to, if I no longer do finance, do something else. And guess what? I ended up doing something else. I went from being a finance broker to a reseller, and now a reseller YouTuber. And all this value that you get from me started at those coaching sessions. Now, were they online sessions? No, they were in person, 4 hours every fortnight for a whole year. So that's a lot of time. And in those sessions, I learned about myself. I learned about my drivers. I learned about my insecurities. I cried. I got very angry in some sessions. I remember seeing the flaws in my personality, the flaws, the blind spots that I had that were inherent to me, that I had to be mindful of. I had to wrestle with the fact that I am severely overconfident, and therefore, when I go into a room, I will always think I can, only to be shut down that I can't. And how do I manage that? Some of you will probably be like me. Some of you will be the opposite, where you go into a room, you know you can do it, but you don't present as such. You worry so much that you just don't do anything. How do you manage that? No amount of free information and doing the work will give you that answer. You can't just pick up a self-help book, read that and go, yeah, I'm good. No. That requires in-person coaching, a listening ear, carefully presented questions that challenge from a heart that wants to see positive change. You don't get that from free information. So that was the first time I paid for a coach. The second time I paid for a coach was when I was transitioning out of mortgage brokering into reselling, and no, not YouTube, just brokering to reselling. And I needed clarity. I really needed clarity. I was giving up good money to do okay money and leave something that was traditionally accepted as a good career, finance, to do this thing which is reselling, which for a lot of people is selling people's junk on the internet to make a living. How do you sustain it? How do you get stock on a regular basis? How do you pay a salary? There was a lot of, how is this forward? This feels backward. This feels like you're having a quarter life crisis and you've lost your vision. And I remember sitting down with this second coach. Tears in my eyes going, this is what I want and here's how I see us getting there. I see it so clear, but I don't know how to communicate it. And those of you guys who have seen my earlier videos have heard me say, I wanted the support at the start, but I didn't have a body of work to prove that eBay was a sustainable thing. I could see it in my head. I could see it. What I saw has happened. It's where I am now. But at the time, to simply see it, communicate it, and not get the buy-in from my family, from my close friends, was painful. And in that moment, free information wasn't what I needed. It was somebody who affirmed my clarity as long as it was supported by sound business principles rather than delusion. The conversations didn't sound like, I wish for this, I want this, I hope that. It was, I know that if I do this, this will happen, and when this happens, then that should happen as well. How do I hang in there to get to that point? So when I think about why someone should pay for coaching or mentoring, or whatever the dollar number, whatever the dollar value may be, I'm not saying that you will get this value only if you pay $20,000. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is there are times when free information is helpful, and there are times when free information does not help, which in this case, through moments of transition, where the pressure is the highest and you need the boost to go, to get that engine going and to keep it going, despite criticism, despite self-doubt, despite just exhaustion, you need feedback from someone who is in your corner, and you pay for them to be in your corner, and they're committed to you because they are good at what they do. So if you've paid for a coach or a course, let me know. I'd love to hear why you did it, and I'd love to hear how you benefited from it. Because I have a feeling you don't feel like a sucker, but somehow the fact that you paid for it, the thought of telling others you've done so, there's this fear that you might feel like a sucker. Here's me telling you, you're not. The other thing to address with the black and white approach of do the work, information is free, or you're being scammed, is that the space in between is not a small space, it's actually a very big one. Are you being scammed if you're only charged $1, but you are told of a great item that you can find that gives you $50 worth of profit? You can see where I'm going with this. With each interaction, there's an exchange. And as resellers, we understand that. We understand that we put in effort, there's fuel, there's that time spent learning a category, the amount that we pay for an item, and then when we sell it, we get a profit, right? So we understand this, this cost value analysis. We do this trade-off all the time in our heads. If anything, we should be the best at weighing these things out. But for some reason, when it comes to knowledge and feedback, we don't do it. Why? Why do we suddenly pigeonhole this learning process? Why can't we, with each interaction, go, this person wants to charge me $100 for an hour of their time. Do I feel like I'll get value from them? Yes, no, move on. Why is it that we feel that when we see a course that is, $5,000 over the course of 6 months, how dare they charge that amount of money for free information? We're so quick to assess whether we'll get a payoff or not. The fact is, as resellers, we have so much to learn. So much to learn. If you start off as an everything seller, you realize that you can sell literally anything, and you never run out of things to sell. So much so that you can buy so much stuff to sell that you have to do listing sessions to get those things moving. If you somehow find a way to get to the niche seller point where you realize there's so much stuff to sell, I'm going to go deep. Even as you go deep, you realize, wow, there's so much nuance to the depth that I thought it was going to be rinse and repeat, but it's not. I'm still learning every single day, little things, variants, limited editions, errors, buyer trends in various countries because I've opened up this item to the world. Different ways to pack that I could save a couple of bucks here and let it arrive better. Branding, there's so much nuance even in a niche category if you go deep. And the way I look at it is, you don't have to be so proud to not pay. If it means that you get there quicker and you can build upon it without it falling apart. If I was willing to teach you how to sell toy cars and I charged you $500, but it meant that you have enough knowledge to go and source cars, set up a store, get up to 1,000 listings in 6 months. Would it be $500 well spent, or would it be a waste of money? Assuming it's a category that you do not understand. Once you get to 1,000 listings, you will probably make between $3,000 to $5,000 a month. Would the $500 be a waste of money? What if your implementation sucks? The knowledge is good, implementation sucks, and you still make between 1,000 to 2,000 every single month. Is the $500 a waste of money? Assuming you knew nothing before. It's knowledge that you can build upon, because with improved implementation, you will get closer to the touted $3,000 to $5,000 a month. Pay, don't pay, it's your decision at the end of the day. Just don't sell yourself short by not paying because you feel like there's a stigma in paying. There isn't. Your parents could have taught you math, but they paid for you to go to school. Why is that? Your parents could have taught you how to drive, paid for a driving instructor. It's because we acknowledge that not everything has to be that hard. I can do the work on a lot of things. I can do the research on a lot of things, and there's a lot of free information out there. But I don't want to. I don't want to. And that's not bad. It's just I would rather do other things with my time. So if I want to pay a coach or sign up for a course with modules that send me notifications every week to do this module, do this 2 steps, do this module, do this 2 steps, and that's how I see progress and learn something, that's a good thing. It's structure that I would not have put in place myself because I would rather do other things. I would rather, with enthusiasm, do the research and do the work on other things. And I can. So can you. So I think that's it. When we think about paying for something, we must first ask ourselves, do I appreciate that something needs to be learned from start to finish? Do I acknowledge that I cannot just be my own feedback? I need somebody to challenge me. Can I also then recognize that there is a value exchange, which means that I need to know or at least assess on a case-by-case basis rather than be someone in the don't pay camp or pay camp. And lastly, you can tell this topic means a lot to me. Lastly, if I can build upon that information, is it worth it? I'm going to end here. Do not let anybody tell you that there is shame in paying for knowledge, because there isn't. If you pay enough dodgy people, you'll start to realize that you're not learning. Give yourself that credit too. We haven't talked about that yet, but give yourself that credit. If you pay enough dumb people to teach you things, you'll realize pretty quickly that you're learning dumb shit. But if you pay people who give you good knowledge that you can build upon, don't be shy to share that knowledge. You benefit from my channel because I share with you a lot of that knowledge very freely, and how I've applied it into my business, this whole YouTube endeavor, how I approach my marriage, my family, my kids, all of that stuff. It comes from all that learning that was paid for and built upon. And I don't regret any of it. I do it again. Oh, here's the other thing. When will I do it again? When I reach another transition stage. When I feel like there's a transition so big that I cannot risk just me being in my head. Time to bring in a coach. Gain clarity, leapfrog, springboard. If it has that effect and I keep building upon that, then it's absolutely worth it. If you found this video helpful, share it with a friend. Have a conversation with me in the comments below. Don't be afraid to offend me. We're talking about making progress, ultimately. There are many ways to go about it. But don't bully anybody into thinking that they should or shouldn't do something because they'd be dumb if they did. That's not cool. Until next video, take care. Happy reselling. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the listing live.